Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the WSE Lounge. I'm Jason Boyd, along with my co-host, Brian Vaughn. At this time, we will welcome our guest. He is a former-time NWA World Tag Team Champion, two-time WCW World Six-Man Tag Team Champion, former NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion, USWA World Champion, 10-time Smoky Mountain Tag Team Champion. He has won 79 championships in his 30-plus year career, and he's a member of the 1986 PWI Tag Team of the Year, the legendary Rock and Roll Express. He is Ricky Morton. Ricky, welcome to the WSE Lounge.
Man, what a pleasure. I'm glad y'all have me on today. Looking forward to it, guys.
It's great to have you here, sir, and in tribute to you, I was going to do this before he announced you, but in tribute to you and Rick and Robert Gibson, we're going to play the old Kiss song that's only a few seconds long that y'all came out to many, many times, Ricky.
All right.
I wanna rock and roll all night. Everybody every day.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to let you know, everybody watching from Facebook Live, we're live on the WSE Lounge with legendary one half of the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton. And Ricky, how did you get your start in professional wrestling?
Well, first of all, I heard that music, and I was looking for the ring. I was going to go to the ring. I thought it was my ring music playing. But, man, I'm from a wrestling family. I grew up in the wrestling business. My dad, he wrestled in the early years, and then he started refereeing. Matter of fact, if you watch Memphis Wrestling, my dad that was a referee, him and Jerry Calhoun, the bald-headed guy with all the tattoos, that was my dad. I learned a lot from my dad. Matter of fact, and I'm not trying to cut the subject off and to get into that, I have a son that's 14 years old. That's my youngest son. I have 7 kids, and 7 grandkids, but But my youngest son's 14 years old, and he does the same thing. He went with me a lot. I mean, I know he's 14. I got him into acting school, acting and all this stuff, because he wants to be, the business has changed over the 40 years. So I'm hoping that, I was second generation. I'm hoping from him. Y'all remember this name, Kerry James? He'd be third generation, I'm hoping.
Well, I gotta honestly say, Ricky, your son does a great job at coming to the ring with you and Robert when y'all, come out to the ring to rock and roll on your opponents and, greeting the fans and,
you must have seen him in a while. Now he's already refereeing. I know he's 14, but gosh, mighty, he's already 6'2". Sometimes I think the postman might have stopped by. He didn't take after me. Well, but no, he's going to be a big kid. Really amazing, really smart. He didn't, like I was saying earlier, our business has changed. I watched it change over 40 years, dude. You know what? You was telling me earlier, I've been wrestling 42 years, really. I'm 60 years old. I said I started full-time when I was 18 years old, guys, working different territories. It's like people don't understand. They tell me all the time, Ricky Morton, man, I remember when you first started, you and Robert in 1985, and dude, I wrestled 10 years before that,
Well, I'll tell you what I got to say. You and Robert, out of any tag team that I've ever seen from the 80s and everything, you and Robert have both still got it. I mean, y'all can go out there and fight with the best of them, and it's unbelievable to watch y'all. And it's like y'all go out there like spring chickens. I mean, and y'all still go out there and rock and roll,
Well, thank you, buddy. But you know what all that to do, too, is I kept myself in shape. I'm not a bodybuilder, but I work out every day, calisthenics, treadmill, and I do work out with weights a little bit. But understand me, and I know I'm 60 years old, but when wrestling business is the only thing that you still got to do what you got to do. But, I learned from a long time ago from the man himself, is the nature boy. When the people pay to see you, no matter what the circumstances is, you give them the money's worth. And when I feel like I can't get the crowd their money's worth that come in to see Robert and I, and thank you for that compliment. And I still do this. Nowadays, sometimes when you get in the ring, you can't. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to knock nobody or say anything, but half the guys out there on the independent circuit, they really need to go to wrestling schools, because I could do a lot more with them if I could trust them in the ring. I still do the hurricane karanas. I still do the dive out of the ropes. I still do all that, but I have to have an opponent that when I get in the ring with, that I'll be able to trust before I can do all that. And they're far in between. So if you're out there listening, not even if you don't go to my wrestling school, find a good wrestling school, because in my days, we were lucky. We worked territories and we worked every night. We learned from the best workers in the world. But if you're not, and if you don't work every night, man, you need to find your wrestling school to attend to, because even though we are entertainers, we're still professional athletes, and you have got to get in that ring and train and train and train and train to make yourself look good.
You're correct about that. You're definitely correct about. You're definitely correct about that, Ricky. I trained earlier 3 years ago. I've become a ring announcer now, and I see some of these kids backstage that just are calling spot, and you go out there and you watch them, and they're not really telling the story in the ring. And I know you teach people at the school of Morton how to do that.
Well, dude, that's what I teach them. And what's really been lost out of our business, it's just the basics. When you know the basics of our wrestling business, and another thing is, but that's what I teach. I try to teach them how to learn that magic. When you learn that magic in the ring, it's like learning how to play a guitar. Your first, and you hear that magic, but you got to learn that. But that's exactly what I do. I have and to me, I'm proud of it. I have a lot of people that help me make my dreams come true. But to seeing these guys, how they progress, and understand me, it's not about, I go to shows and I see, is there something in the background? Hello?
No, yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I didn't know what was going on there, but what I was saying is, I go to these shows and I see them. It's like they sit down there and it's nothing about. They watch Monday Night Raw, and here we go. It's hot spot number 1, hot spot number 2, hot spot number 3, and you got to watch it, because one of them ever hot spots for him, and the other opponent don't get nothing. And I'm sitting back there and telling him, I said, dude, you have, and it's not being mean, it's not, but dude, this business is not a game to me. This business is not a joke to me. This is serious.
Right.
It's how I make my living. I watched a lot of guys, and I've said this before, independent wrestlers, and guys, it's just the truth. They have they have about much business being in the ring as me flying with the Blue Angels. They don't have. It's horrifying. It's they got to wind up getting hurt or hurting somebody real bad, and some of them look so horrible. They tell me to come. I go to a lot of independent shows, and I have to, because it's what I do for a living. But most of the time I hide until my match, because I'm so embarrassed. And nowadays I'm trying to get the independent promoters to put me on like second or third, because after the people sit there and watch this stuff, and they draw a good crowd, and I ain't saying this all because of me, but, they draw good, their house will be real good. And you look at it, they got 74 matches. I'm the last one, because then they got a big show. And dadgum, after the third match, everybody left to get tired of seeing, because you know what? Every match is the same. None of the boys sit back and watch the matches and do different things. They go out, they do the same hot spots. 74 matches in a row.
Or on top each other.
Oh yeah, but they're doing the same things. Get a chance, man. If anybody's up here in Eastern Tennessee, where are you guys out broadcasting out of?
Georgia.
Oh. Well, I thought you was down south somewhere. I can tell with that northern accent y'all got, just like me. Look at hey, everybody on this show, we're country a bowl of pinto beans.
We
that's
are.
pretty cool. I wouldn't have it no other way, gentlemen. Me too.
One of the most classic feuds of all time is the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express. How has that feud been for you?
How's that feud been for me, buddy? Understand it. Between the Rock and Roll Express and Midnight Express and the man himself, Mr. Jimmy Cornette, and I hope the fans out there, this is the way. And if you ever talk to Vince McMahon and guys are trying to break into the business, they always tell you go back and watch those matches. Okay,
Yeah.
The matches between the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express. It was. I think this feud has been going on longer than Bobo Brazil and the Sheik went on. This feud has been going on for like 35 years. And I'm serious. But you know what? And it still works. Our matches will go down in history in professional wrestling because of the feuds of the Midnight Express. And a lot of people tell me before, they say, Ricky Morton, we seen y'all, but we started back when you had territories like Memphis and Louisiana and Kansas City and, and Dallas. And we wrestled these guys with the same, different angles, but the same feud. It was a natural thing that went on and went on and went on. But I got to say, man, in our days, everybody knew how to work. Some of the greatest matches. And what the guys don't understand is if you go watch these matches, in our business, we kayfabed. I still do. I still get mad at the guys. We didn't get to sit out in the back and go over every match. Look here, all we knew was right before the match now. This is because they didn't want nobody to know. For a while there, that's what really killed TNA and everything because, hell, everybody knew what was going on. A week before the match even started. We did not know the finish until right before we were going to the ring. That's when the referee brought it over to you. You didn't see the other wrestler. You didn't sit down in front of him and tell him this is what we're going to do. We went hours at a time without discussing nothing going into the ring.
That's horrible.
Beg your pardon?
I said that's horrible. That y'all didn't know the finish until you got right to the ring.
Yeah, but we was used to it. I loved it. You knew the finish. Most times, sometimes you didn't get the finish till you got the ring. That way, the marks didn't know. Nobody knew what was happening.
I got you. I got the
greatest thing in the world. And I was still used to that. Like a lot of times I'll be at these shows, and I ask the guy I'm working with, "You understand what I'm talking about?" And he, "Yeah, but what we're going to do for a finish?" I said, "Well, I call it the ring. Let me go out and listen to the people."
Yeah.
And that's the way I do things. I ask the guy, "What kind of things do you do if I can maybe work it into the match?" Because that's a fact. It's about learning our business, the hard roads of it. But Robert and I and the Midnight Express guys, but don't get me wrong, everybody back then, we had a lot of good runs with a lot of people. But the Midnight Express and Rock and Roll was just a natural feud that has went on for 35 years, and we're still doing it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's an awesome feud, and like you were saying, I know what you're talking about because it's like now, Ricky. It's like the internet and everything. They like to ruin everything. Back in the day, you didn't have to worry about, oh well, so and so is going to show up, so and so is going to do this and that. I mean, you wasn't ruined; you were surprised. And that's what tradition was all about. It was about the element of surprise and not knowing what's going to happen and who's going to win, and it was kind of like telling a story in the ring.
That's what you had to do to build up your thing. That's what made guys such great workers. And what made a great babyface is that you could adjust yourself to the heel. Now if I was working Ric Flair, it's a lot different match. I'm going to have a Black Bart. You understand me? So and it's one thing that the guys need to do too. They need to watch the matches, watch the guys that you're going to work with. What makes a good babyface? The heel can't change his gimmick. The babyface can change the way he does. And don't forget, if you want to be a great babyface, learn how to sell. Hey, and I do that real good at my school of Morton. Okay.
You do that real good anyway, Ricky.
Well, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that.
Selling is a big part. Go ahead, Ricky.
Hello?
Hello?
Go ahead, Ricky. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. No, that's fine. You didn't cut me off. It's hard, you got these phones and, I'm doing that commercial. You still there? You're still there. But it's not like that. But I want to tell people, too, Robert, my partner, Robert Gibson, wrestling partner, that is, let me get that straight. He has a wrestling school in Douglasville, Georgia. Since you guys are down there and everybody down in Georgia, contact Robert on his Facebook. It's Power Pro Wrestling, I think. And check him out. He's got a great wrestling school in Douglasville, Georgia, too. And I'm not just trying to tell him. It's always, it's a place to work out. I mean, if you play football, you practice all week long. You hear me? You just don't show up there on a Friday night. And I ain't telling you, it's like practice, you train. Robert's a good trainer, too. You guys down there in Georgia, if you check him out, man. And just, all I'm trying to say is it makes you better, and it makes the show better, and it makes the fans more happier, because realize, you got to understand, without the fans, you can't have wrestling. And they get tired of seeing same old crazy, stupid stuff that some of the guys are out there doing.
That's true. And, another thing, Ricky, is a lot of these young guys that are starting up, they don't even seem to care about the knowledge that you or Robert Gibson or Bobby Eaton or Tommy Rich or some of these other guys that were around before them. They don't even seem to care about the knowledge that y'all know, and they seem to know it all, but they don't know it all.
Well, we go into that here. See, that's one other thing. You see, younger wrestlers don't even know the history of professional wrestling. A lot of them don't even understand that Tommy Rich was the Hulk Hogan of his time, the John Cena of his time, one of the best babyface of Georgia Championship Wrestling that ever existed at the time. But see, now that's what you talk about. We're going back to where, see, because everybody thinks they know everything about our business, and nobody, and they really know nothing. They don't have a clue about anything else. They don't even know it, and that's the reason most of them only wrestle because they run their own show, because nobody else in music is that bad. And you know what? And that really hurts our business, because people like us that depended on wrestling for a living, used to, we had regular shows that, that went on year round, the festivals, the fairs and everything. And a lot of these independent wrestlers, and don't get me wrong, I'm an independent wrestler too, but the ones that do not know nothing, the ones that the only way they can be something in our business is be a Saturday Night Live. I run into this situation not long down there in Alabama, Decatur, Alabama, where these guys, they know something about our business and actually just lie to you, and rip you off for your money. Even one of them down there, and he put on the internet that I text him. Look here, dude, I don't even text. You know what? And that's where you really made yourself a liar. That's where you really made yourself something. But see, they're the kind of guys that killed our business, trying to be something that they're not. I don't have to come out here. They can say something about me when they talk about me, at least on the topic of the conversation. I know what I've done in this business, and I know what I've accomplished. But you guys, man, you just hurt my business. That's all you do. You hurt it. So get away from it. Go do something else. That's what I get. You'll get me peed off here in a minute.
Ricky, I definitely agree with you on that, because I sit backstage and the kids are goofing off the whole time. They're not watching matches that they watch.
They gotta watch. And I hate to
ahead.
cut you off right there, and I'm glad you said that right there. See, that's the whole point. Go watch the matches where you don't do the same high spots. Y'all watch the match of the night. It's just like I watched the same match, the opening match 3 times in a row. They did the very same thing. And 99% of it is what they seen on Ring of Honor, what they seen on TNA, and what they seen on Monday Night Raw, Monday night. Come and learn something new. Invent your own stuff. It's like me. I've been in the business 40 years, but I have a lot of great guys that attend my school. Some of my trainers, like Chase Owens and Elliott Russell, and some of those guys, Jason, when they come down, listen to me. I've been doing this for 40 years, and I still learn from them. New things that they invented, things to put in situations. See, nobody knows everything about our business. When you quit learning, that's when you need to leave. But you learn together. And that's what some of these guys, man, it just really tease me off a lot, and especially the ones that that you come and work for them. And like guys like us, we depend on it for a living, and it's getting to a point now that you got to ask for all your money up front because, some of these guys you don't know if you're going to get paid or not. And this is what we do for a living. It's no joke. It's no game. It's serious stuff.
I want to tell you a story, Ricky, and this is something I want to share with you. Why I've got you on the phone. I don't know if you'll remember this or not, but it was back in 2010. You and Robert came to NWA Atlanta to wrestle, and after the show, you met me and my brother Daniel. Daniel had talked to you. You had asked Daniel for directions to get somewhere on the highway or the interstate, and I had my video camera on the way home, and you and your wife were going down the road, and I filmed you over in your car, and you waved back at us and everything, and I didn't know if you remember that story or not, but shortly after that, my brother passed away in November of 2010, and that was the last time that he went to a wrestling match.
Oh man, I'm sorry, I didn't know, buddy. And I'm not trying to be rude to you or mean. If you show me the video, I probably remember it.
Yeah.
But it's like a lot of, and thank you. That's a great compliment. Thank you for that. And I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
And in this tragedy, and that every day, and I wake up every morning to something new. We lost China. And a lot of my friends in this business, guys, Brett Armstrong, Buddy Landell. I mean, they were like brothers to me, and China like a sister to me. Because we were all the boys. We grew up together, even though she was a woman. We all call ourselves the boys, and but it was tragic loss, and I'm sorry for you there, buddy. But if you ever get back down that way, bring that video and let me see it. I would really love to see it. And another thing, because people ask me all the time, man, do you know so and so? And this is another thing. I'm sorry. Oh, we wrestle for PWI wrestling and all. Dude, I don't know where that is. I mean, I wrestle so many nights. I'm still wrestling 4 nights a week most of the time. I go out tomorrow, guys, and I won't be back home to Monday because I'm on there. And we do a lot of big shows out there, guys. For I don't know if you're familiar with Big Time Wrestling, man. What a great wrestling promotion! They bring in a lot of guys. You have to spend money to make money.
And that's actually ran by Charlie Armstrong, correct?
Beg your pardon?
That's actually ran by Charlie Armstrong.
No, I don't. I know. No, these guys are out of Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
Big Time Wrestling. Yeah, no, they're out of Boston, Massachusetts.
I see a lot of their posts.
We start up in Prince George, Virginia. We end up in Bluefield. But we were down in Georgia, a little town way down south of Georgia, not real south like Valdosta, but a little bit down from Athens, like 70 miles. ALY or something like that, the name of the town. But man, did we have a crowd. But but they have a lot of guys. We're going to be a couple of weeks with them. They have Sting on the card, and then we're going to have Ric Flair, and Kevin Nash, and Robert Nye, and for the last. And this is the same thing about the Midnight Express. For the last 3 tours we've been with them, it's Robert Nye against the Barbarian and the Warlord at the cage, but they were managed by Jimmy Cornette. And, guys, we did a lot of great business. It really did good. We had Road Warrior Joe in our corner. So, the Road Warrior animal. And these guys are, and it's like I try to tell everybody Vince McMahon is trying to get the new viewers in professional wrestling. But what everybody has done is they have forgot about the old wrestling fans. Dude, that's the reason we still do good, because there's a lot more old wrestling fans there is new wrestling fans, man, and we pack them out.
That's right.
Yep, I'm a Crockett guy. I love Jim Crockett Promotions, and you are exactly right about that, Ricky.
Thank you, buddy.
Something I always wanted to know, Ricky, and I've been trying to find it for years. The match that you and Robert had against the Midnight Rockers, is that on DVD anywhere?
Yeah, buddy, it should be, because we done it in Memphis, we done it in Kansas City, and we done it for AWA for Vern Gagne.
Okay.
There's got to be a match of it out there somewhere.
Okay.
But we had more than one. You know, my hat's off. People ask me about this all the time, about the midnight. Well, dude, listen, Shawn Michaels is a good friend of mine. Marty Jannetty's a good friend of mine. And for Shawn made it real big, you know, he was like us on the road. You know, to me, when they started the Midnight Rockers, to me it was a compliment. You hear me? And matter of fact, being the Midnight Rockers took Shawn Michaels on the road to being one of the greatest wrestlers and workers ever in our business. So look at it like that. You know, it's a great compliment.
Okay.
And you guys, I know a lot of y'all knew me, but you know, back in 2010. But you got to understand, Ricky Morton has changed his whole life. I'm not here to that. You know what I'm trying to say is, dude, I didn't go to bed for 30 years, but you know, I quit smoking cigarettes. I go to the gym I'm not a bodybuilder, but I really work out hard every day. And if you've seen us here lately, our batches still have improved so much. You know, Robert's in the gym, and we do what we do. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't get on the top turnbuckle and do a splash through a table out on the floor because I don't have to. When to me is no. You know, it's not what you do; it's how you do it. I always remember that.
Okay. Can you do a promo for us on the show, Ricky? Just say this is Ricky Martin, one half the Rock and Roll Express, and you're listening to WSE Lounge.
Okay, you know what? Let me write that down here for a minute, dude. Are we live? Are we still live on the air?
Yes, sir. We are.
Yes, sir.
Look at Ricky Morton has to write this down. Yes, I do. W what now?
The WSE Lounge.
WSE
Lounge. WSE Lounge.
Lounge.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, man. I got you. Hey, guys. Hello there. This is Ricky Morton of the Rock and Roll Express, and you're listening to WSE Lounge.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for that, sir.
Yeah, man, you're more than welcome. Hey, guys, and I'm not trying to cut you short. I enjoy being on your show. I really do. But, you know, as life turns, and sometimes I got to go, I hear my wife and son and dogs coming through the door, and it's fixing to get rowdy. It's fixing to get rowdy and hectic around here. To me, guys like you that still keep us alive, appreciate you having me on the show. Get a chance, check me out on the School of Morton. I have a podcast on there too. Matter of fact, I just posted the one of me and Jimmy Cornette. You guys will really love it. Just be prepared. It's rated XXX. Gentlemen, have a wonderful night. God bless you, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, you too. Take care, Ricky. God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was
Ricky Martin, one half of the Rock and Roll Express, and it was an honor to have him on today.